Chicken on a Stick presents Persistence of Vision. All right, welcome everybody. We're just this is a little bit different. Haven't done anything like this before, but this is going to be a spoiler discussion of Halloween Ends. As I said in our review of the movie, it's very hard to accurately discuss without actually talking about any sort of spoilers. So, two people were kind enough to join me for this to actually dissect and discuss this movie. So I've got with me two great streamers. We've got Sugi over here, and then we got Laugh as well.
Howdy.
And we're just gonna talk about this movie because I know after we all saw it, everybody was wanting to talk about it more in depth because there's a lot going on in this movie. Much more than I think anybody would have expected actually going into it.
Definitely. Yes. It was pretty crazy.
I think
it's pretty jarring from the start.
Yeah, and I think one of the first things I think I saw after, maybe just as the credits started rolling, because sometimes I'll pull out my phone, because we saw it in theater. I'll pull out my phone and then I'll have like Discord notifications or something. I think one of the first things I saw was Sugi in your Discord, just that GIF you sent of the person being like, "What the? Like, what am I watching?"
It was Steve Harvey going, "What the fuck is happening?" is what it is. Do you want to give like an opening statement? Because I kind of have an idea in my head that just popped up right
The
now.
first thing I was going to ask is before we get into it. So, for our Chicken on the Stick review, Maggie gave it a 6 out of 10, and I gave it a 5 out of 10. So just maybe as much as you can say as much as you want, but maybe just what your general thoughts on the movie were before we kind of jump in.
Who would like to go first? If you want me to, I can.
You can go, Sugi.
Okay. So, just a little bit about like how I watch movies. I have to share this before I share my opinion. So basically, I don't watch movies for good quality. I watch movies just purely for fun. I think that like good writing and good characters and good acting definitely make movies better, but I don't need good writing to have a fun time. And I don't need good characters or good acting to have a good time. Like just as an example, since we're talking about Halloween, I know Krim hates this movie, but like when Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 released in theaters, I went opening weekend. I watched it and I had a smile on my face the whole movie because I loved that
I
movie.
went to a midnight showing for that movie.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I also think like my favorite Friday the 13th, or no, not even Friday the 13th movies. I love like Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell are my favorite Jason movies, and I honestly love Game of Thrones season 8. Like it's very easy for me to have a good time. And with that being said, with Halloween Ends, I feel like general thoughts. I feel like this movie as a standalone Halloween movie, like I thought it was really good. I honestly just loved it. I did have some issues with some of the story things that I'll get into later, but I really liked how they just did something new. Like after that opening scene, I was just exactly what the GIF said. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I was so confused, but I loved it. I loved not knowing what's gonna happen. I genuinely enjoyed the movie from start to finish. I feel like just as its own, this movie is really good, and it's a really good entry into the Halloween franchise, but I feel like as a sequel to Kills, it is very disconnected from Halloween Kills. I feel like especially the Michael Myers stuff in this movie, he does not even feel like the same Michael Myers. Like for some reason he goes from invincible in Kills to just weak old man in Halloween Ends, and he's just hiding in the sewer. And then just like how his power was working, where he was weak, then he was powerful, then he was weak again. I feel like he was very disconnected from Halloween Kills and Halloween 2018. So I feel like this movie is just very good on its own, but not a good sequel to Kills. That's my general thoughts.
Okay. There's a lot I think that I agree with you there. And so the way that I view movies is I like a wide array of movies, and there are movies that I would consider objectively bad that I thoroughly enjoy as well. But one of the main things that I look for is like character development, world development, and just does everything fit within the story that is being told, and perhaps not like a greater scheme? Like, does everything fit within the narrative?
Yeah, definitely.
And then with this movie, I thought it had a very strong start. I was just like, what's going on? But I was very excited. And there's even aspects to like this Dracula Michael Myers that had, this lackey bring blood to him. Like, I thought that, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But I didn't feel like it was also very boring in a lot of ways that I'll like to go into later. And I felt like there was a great setup that was potentially happening, and then it just very poorly delivered in a lot of things that I enjoy about Halloween, which is like brutal kills eventually, not so much in 1978, but eventually the series, especially David Gordon Green's, has a lot of brutal deaths, expanding upon a idea that was created in 1978, which they set up a lot of in Halloween Kills. And then I just feel like the finale just fell short, and I was a bit disappointed, but there were aspects that I enjoyed, and I think the movie did well.
Cool.
Yeah, I think this will be an interesting discussion overall. I kind of agree. I mean, I think I'm maybe a little bit in the middle between both of you as far as the way I enjoy. I do like good character development, world building, all that sort. I mean, I very famously love the movie Only God Forgives, which is very much not liked by most people. And it's very heavy-handed in its themes and what it's trying to get across and whatever, and you can take it or leave it. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, the movie's got to be exceptionally bad for me to really, really dislike it. And I don't think that this movie was. I think this movie does. I think I said in the review that there's a lot going on in this movie that I think works and works well, but it almost feels like the ideas and things that the movie wanted to do and brought in, especially with Corey, were completely like the legs were cut out from under it just by the sole fact that this has to be a Halloween movie. They have to fit in Laurie Strode and Mike Myers. If not for that, I think this could have been an interesting new sort of IP or even spin-off to Halloween, but it's somewhere kind of in the middle. And I feel like I saw I read or I heard somebody maybe in a review of their own saying that it very much, this movie almost solidifies that Danny McBride and Green had no ideas or no ambition past just the first 2018 Halloween. Like, they had no idea where it was going after that, and then everything was just sort of off the cuff at that point. Just, let's try something different. Let's throw this in there. Who knows? See what'll stick.
Everything after that was, let's just make some sequels and see what happens.
Yeah. And that's not necessarily their fault. That very much could have just been like they managed to make a fantastic sequel with Halloween 2018, and it just did so well that all of a sudden the studio was, hey, you're going to make 2 more for us, okay?
I was wondering if that's how that worked, or if it was a different way, where I felt like Halloween 2018 did feel very contained, and it had a sense of finality to it with somewhat of a open ending, not like traditionally where like in a horror movie where you get Final Destination or Jason where you're like, we got him, no we didn't, or we escaped death, no we didn't, because this one kind of had a finality where like we're like, oh, Michael's in the basement, but then Michael is no longer in the basement at the very beginning, but we also don't see him die, so it's a little bit open-ended. And then with Kills, I felt like that they were beginning to tie so much into 1978. I thought they were going to go somewhere, but I thought that they maybe gave themselves a sense of finality at the end of 2018, because they were just like, we might not get a sequels because the last Rob Zombie movies were received so terribly that I felt they left themselves some wiggle room there. And that's how I felt 2018 ended. And then Kills, I thought they were setting up something, but Halloween Ends confirms that they were not.
I'm completely with you. I like Halloween Kills. I do think it's a step down from 2018, but I like it overall. And the whole everything that people complain about with the mob mentality and the hospital stuff, and the fact that it's like a number of these people should have realized that patient who was just in the hospital looking for help was not Mike Myers for many different reasons. So that was like really dumb. But as much as that part's like stupid and that they sidelined Laurie Strode for the entire movie, I kind of forgave it because at that point we already knew that this was going to be a trilogy, and Kills feels like a middle movie. Like it doesn't definitively end. Mike Myers basically comes out on top at the end. It feels like, okay, they're really going to go somewhere. And then, like you said, ends feels like they didn't know where they wanted to go.
They lost the notes to Kills, and they started writing the script, and they're like, what happened? What were we doing something with the window? No, we weren't doing anything with the window.
Oh, man.
Like,
Jesus.
they just drop it. They drop it.
Yeah.
They just lost the notes.
Yeah, I feel like they did that a lot from Kills. I guess maybe to kind of get, I'll bring some of this back up because Sugi already mentioned a part about supernatural sort of elements that feel like they, again, didn't know what they wanted to do with this stuff. But ends, not to like retell the whole movie, but basically ends starts off very different from other not counting like Season of the Witch or something, very different from this timeline of Halloween movies. And the fact that the very first thing we hear is something that's never been built into this world before. Not that it's unbelievable that it exists, but we get the first note of Big Willie or whatever, the DJ of Haddonfield.
Yeah.
94.9.
Yeah. Very first thing we hear, we're taken into Haddonfield 2019, a year after everything that happened in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, and we're introduced to Corey, who isn't a babysitter but is babysitting for a little pain in the neck. I swear, outside of those kids in the 1978 film, every kid has kind of been a little shithead anytime they've shown them.
Most of them are pretty terrible.
1978 had such a good balance with Lindsay. Oh my God, Lindsay. Lindsay doesn't even. She is a thread that's completely dropped in Halloween Kills. Yep. Remember, she escapes and she hides in the woods, and then now 4 years later, she doesn't even get picked up. That just came back to me.
Yeah, I mean, so she's in the movie, but she's designated the role of like, I read tarot cards now, and also I work at the bar.
She's the bartender. What's also weird about Lindsay in Halloween Kills, I don't know if you noticed it, but like, because she's at that scene where everyone gets killed at the park, and then she escapes, she runs, and she hides behind that tree by like the bridge, and then Michael doesn't find her. Yeah. And then when they find her, like when like Tommy and them find her, she's like covered in mud, and she looks like she like just got out of a fight.
Yeah, she looks like she got in a fight,
but she never got in a fight. That's just like, always bothered me in that movie.
I can still forgive that in Halloween Kills because that scene has probably the dumbest but my favorite kill of all time. When the nurse, or the lady dressed as the nurse, goes to shoot Mike Myers, and he kicks the door open, and it hits the gun, and she flips it around and shoots herself in the head.
It's a great kill. That's an amazing kill.
It's a good kill. It's a good kill.
It's amazing.
I didn't mean to ditch. Sorry, I just got completely sidelined by that. But I just wanted to agree that 1978, Lindsay as a kid, she was annoying, but she was funny because she had that like. When what's her name was just like, Annie was just like, don't tell anybody about this, and then she was just like, she got stuck in the window, and you're like, oh, that's funny, that kid's annoying, but she's funny. And then same thing with Tommy Jarvis. He's a cute little like nerdy kid, but he's not as despicable as the kid at the beginning of Halloween Ends.
Yeah. And so I'm also really confused watching it on the second go. I know I subconsciously noticed this about the parents of the kid in Halloween Ends, but I'm very confused. I guess, it's not necessary that like this married couple's going to a Halloween party, so maybe they'd have matching costumes or something. But she's like dressed as like a flapper, and he's a train conductor. I don't know what's going on with that costuming. It was very confusing.
I never thought about that.
Neither did I. That's funny.
I also think it's weird because I think later on when we see the mother again, I'm pretty sure she's wearing the same costume, but she just has like a jacket on at the bar. Like it looks like she's wearing the same top or dress or whatever. I don't know.
It's the same costume from that really unfortunate Halloween night. Like,
Yeah.
every Halloween. That's really, really sad.
Yeah, some depressing tradition she might have come up with, perhaps.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
One idea that I heard just from another podcast, I think they were called the Halloweenies, is if they didn't do Halloween 2018 and they didn't do Kills and they just released Halloween Ends as its own thing and they just said we're doing this one movie and this is gonna be it, like, I think, do you think the movie would have been way better, and do you think more people would have liked it if, like, 2018 and Kills didn't exist and this was just its own thing?
Ooh, no. I think there's significant things you'd have to change if that were the case. Because obviously there's plot things that don't make sense that you'd have to change with Lori, her granddaughter. All of a sudden the parents are killed or something. But I think if you remove like those small elements that don't really play a big factor in this actual movie, then it could possibly work. Then it'd be like, 44 years or something have passed. Lori's basically moved on. She's had a family. She lives with her granddaughter. And then all of a sudden, oh shit, Mike Myers is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it would be too much of a stretch. I think that was one of the problems that I had with this movie is that I understand that it's 4 years later, but Allison has almost no, you don't even hear the name Karen. You see a screensaver and a photograph, but other than that, these characters they don't face anything that happened from Halloween Kills, and most of their arguments is basically, hey, you're still scared of Michael from 40 years ago. They still don't even know whether to focus on Allison as the main character or Laurie as the main character, and I feel like Allison was almost the main character of this film, beating out Corey and Laurie, but she has like no emotional resolution with anything. If anything, we're just still depressed, I guess. Like, I just felt like it all amounted to just about nothing at the end.
Yeah, that's why I bring up the idea, just because this movie's so disconnected from 2018 and Kills that if those two movies didn't exist, like, would this movie be better? Because
They almost didn't have to.
that seems to be like one of my only issue with the movie is that just so much stuff just doesn't line up. Like, my biggest problem is, why does Michael go from I'm invincible, I just killed that whole mob in 20 versus 1, fight to the death, to all right, I'm gonna go to the sewer and just wait for 4 years and get old? Like, why? That doesn't make any sense.
That's one of my biggest problems with this movie is in Kills, Laurie says while she's in the hospital talking to Frank that Frank says something like, do you think we can get him or whatever, and Laurie says something like, the more he kills, the stronger he becomes. And that was a huge thing, like the trailers and marketing, and even that moment like you're talking about, like they catch Mike Myers off guard, Tommy and his little posse beat him up, he's on the ground, they're stabbing him, ex-sheriff Brackett is about to shoot him in the head, and then Mike Myers just goes, nah, fuck this shit, and kills all of them.
Yeah.
And then goes back to the house, kills Karen, stares out the window. The part that I'm confused by is that felt like it was clearly setting up that Mike Myers in some way, whether you'd want to explain it as like he is, as Loomis said in the original, just pure evil, and evil's like this entity, and he like that is just it. Yeah. And the more he kills, he does feel stronger and whatever. If that's what you're setting up, then half the stuff that happens in Ends doesn't make goddamn sense, like at all. And also the window thing, Laugh, you said this, where it feels like they did these things and then totally forgot about them. The window thing you mentioned earlier, they're just like, he wanted to stare out this window, he could oversee all of Haddonfield or whatever. So he did, and then he just said, all right, that's enough, and went and like just turned into a hermit. That's like, what was that? What was that about?
Right.
It made no sense. But are these issues with Ends, or are these issues with Kills, or are they just equally issues with both?
I actually think that this gets completely answered in Ends as far as like the motive of Michael Myers. Now, when she is writing her book, she deletes the word him and changes it to it, and then she also writes that Michael is the personification of evil. Like, I think that's actually completely answered. And do we believe Laurie Strode? Well, Laurie Strode's journey in this movie is she gets a feeling that Corey is evil. And then she looks into Corey's eyes and she sees that he has completely black eyes. And then she goes visits the mother, talks with the mother, but then later she knows absolutely where to find Corey, back where he killed, because he would kill and then he would go home, just like Michael Myers did. So she knew where to find Corey at that house because Corey killed, and then Corey went back to where his first killing happened. So it was a pattern that she had recognized in killers, and she could tell something was going on. So based on that, she was a reliable hero in this film. I think we can also believe that Michael is the personification of evil, literally spelt out for us on screen.
And that's actually one of the things that I really enjoyed about this. We can talk about like Laurie's portrayal in the beginning of this movie in a moment, because I don't particularly like the way it starts out. But when that moment happens, that she hears Corey riding his motorcycle up to the house, and she looks out the window, and it's like a recreation of 1978 where Michael's like standing just outside the bushes.
Yeah.
And then he catches her off, and then she's got that expression of, she's like staring him down like something's not right. From that moment on, everything with Laurie I enjoyed. The fact that she was like doing this detective work almost of like watching him, going to his mother, finding him at that house and all that stuff, and it's just kind of proving what her thoughts were. Loved all that stuff.
So you didn't like Laurie when she was like happy, like earlier before that?
I feel like it doesn't make sense.
So I would just like to speak and defend it a bit, because what I think, now the movie should have explained this better, but what I think happened is they had like the movie trailer dialogue in Halloween Kills where, what's the sheriff's name, Hawkins, where he's like in the hospital room with her, and he's just like, Laurie, it's not about you. Like, the only reason Michael tried to kill you again is because the doctor took him to your house. He just kills anything that's in his past, and it's not about you, Laurie. And you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I think that after learning that it's not about her, she's learned to just let go of this living in fear of Michael Myers, because she learned that it's not about her. She's not this obsession. She was just in the wrong place, wrong time. So I think that's why she became less obsessed with Michael Myers and was just like a more chill and happy person. I think that's what it was, but the movie didn't clearly make that clear, I think.
No, that definitely makes sense. My point is just like, she was afraid for, rightfully so, for 40 years while this man was locked in a psychiatric high security place. For 40 years, prepping and ready. And then he comes, and even though he wasn't, like Hawkins explains, is like, he's not after you, it's just like happenstance. Like, everybody's built up this aura and lure that the two of you are something more than actually it was. The fact that he escapes, and then nobody knows where he is, and she's just like, okay. It's like, I don't know. I feel like she should be a little bit more, and clearly by the end we see that she is kind of prepared in a way, that when Corey does come after her, he's like, you think I was gonna fall for that, or you think I actually did that? Just kidding, haha. But it just feels so strange. And then also that, I don't know, the whole town and stuff is wrote in some weird ways here. And I know that they, in the beginning, when they show that over a course of a few Halloweens all these tragic events have happened, and it kind of created this aura of like really shitty people in Haddonfield apparently, but there's some strange stuff going on, and I don't mind Laurie being happy and kind of forgetting about. First off, I am upset that her and Frank, I guess he's still with the police force. It's not really super clear by the end of this movie, but they have that weird like, we're flirting with each other in the store, and it's like, you guys like confessed your love to each other in the hospital. Why is this still a thing? Like, just...
4 years of just, let's just flirt when we go to the grocery store.
Right. And then they also didn't have like, she's just like, when they run into each other in the grocery store, she's just like, yeah, you're probably wondering where I've been for the last, between the two movies. So they like never, they can casually run into each other like at the grocery store, but over the course of 4 years, they don't run into each other once.
Yeah. The 4-year time jump makes it weird.
See,
I like the ideas of it. I did want to touch on something really quickly. I think that was a really good point that you brought up, Sugi. I didn't even make that connection because I do get kind of lost on like what this movie means overall. Like, what's the overall message? And I think that like, it wasn't about you. Blah, like that's really cool. I think that's a cool idea. My only problem that I have with it is like the idea of it being written that way, where it's kind of like making a play on that we're hoping that these movies are going to be good, but the script is like telling us like this is what you guys want. Well, it's not it. It's just something that happened, and that can be okay sometimes. But I didn't enjoy it here because I didn't like Halloween Ends all that much. I also gave it a 5 out of 10.
I like it when writing does that. I enjoy the troll.
Mhm.
I enjoy shit like that. I like that. But still,
Yeah, I don't
still
dislike it
haven't-
as a blanket statement. I think I would have
Yeah.
liked it more if I enjoyed Ends. I would have been like, oh, you guys did that well, and I liked it.
While I love the movie, like I said, I still have a huge issue how Michael goes from I can defeat people, I can kill everyone in a 20 versus 1 fight to the death, but then I'm gonna go to the sewer and just get old and weak. I don't know anything about that.
So-
That's still a big issue for me.
So there's a line in this movie. There's a couple things going on in this movie that it's going to lead into exactly what you're talking about, because I also don't like it.
Mhm.
But so we see at one point that there's this billboard. I think we see the billboard 2 or 3 times. I think the very first time is when Allison gets pulled over by the cop who she used to date, which, by the way, that cop looks like at least 20, 30 years older than she actually is. I don't know what... Did anybody else notice that the cops all looked like they were from the 70s? Like hairstyle and build and like clean... I don't know. I just thought that was kind of strange. It felt like their police force didn't advance or something. It was strange.
Oh, I get the same feeling.
But I think that's the first time we see this billboard, and it's about this missing woman. And later on, we hear, and I think it's during the DJ, right before he's killed, there's a call in, and this listener is like, there's 3 missing people, you're making all these jokes and something. So I think the assumption is, or not even really the assumption, I think what they're saying is that this whole time, Michael has still been killing people in some way. Whether that has to do with so whether the homeless man is actually in on it or something, that's, I guess, maybe. That's the whole thing's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what you're saying, Sugi, in that if he's still killing people, even if it's like less frequently, he's quite literally the second time we see him, when he's first like fully shown, whenever Corey lures that cop into the sewer, he's like hunched over, ready to just croak, basically dead.
Walk.
And then he slices his throat, and he does the little like, I don't know, his adrenaline gets pumping or something, and he like straightens out, and it's so strange. It's so very weird to me.
He does that with the nurse as well. And I just did want to add to that because the homeless man, the first time that Corey escapes and Corey kills and he stabs the homeless man, throws his knife, he says, Michael brings people in there and he kills them and they never escape. But you escape. Why did he let you go? Go back in there and get me that mask. I'm Michael Myers.
That's what makes it even more weird. That's what makes it even more confusing.
The best part, though, is that the old man is Mike Myers.
No.
That's the real story
It's even
here.
weirder and more confusing because he goes from hobbling around to killing that Mulaney guy, and then he shakes around, and now he's strong again, and then he's good, and then he's back to being weak because Corey could just wrestle him and take his mask. So if he's been killing people in the sewers for 4 years, how come he's weak when killing people makes him stronger?
Yep.
Like, it's just confusing. I don't like that.
I agree with that weird part about Corey coming and like taking the mask from, because it's just like, okay, if his power is from killing people, he's now killed at least 2 people that we've seen.
Yep.
He's still
It's
just like a
inconsistent,
pushover. I don't know. That part was strange.
Very weird. Yeah.
Very
I also find
inconsistent
it
with what they're building.
Someone else kind of pointed out that there's just we'll maybe get a little bit more into Corey in a moment, but they also have like this weird, like, is it a mentorship or something? Like, what's the fact when Corey goes after the doctor and that nurse, and he kills the doctor outside, and the nurse locks him out and he can't get in, Michael's just already there waiting. And it even goes before that, when Corey goes to Allison that one night and Lori pulls up and sees them walk up the stairs, Michael's just there behind the tree. Like, is he just like shadowing this person? Is he watching over him to make sure what he's doing is correct? It's so, I don't know, it's so weird. It's like,
is Michael trying to get like leftovers? Because the way that Corey's reacting, he's like not. He seems surprised that he's stuck inside. So we don't even like. Does Michael know? Like, does Corey walk Michael back to his hovel at the end of every night? Does he knock on the door? Does he say, "Hey, we're gonna go out killing tonight"? Well, yeah. What is that relationship?
Grab your knife. We're going killing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's a very weird relationship. Like, are they working together, or was Michael just like creeping on him the whole time, and they're not actually working together?
I think it could have worked better if maybe after that first cop kill, if Michael went out and just did Michael things, and Corey was shadowing him, because there is that when he's killing the nurse and he's holding her up just before he stabs her. Corey unwraps his hand, his bandaged up hand, and then he starts to like try and mimic the grab or like the choke move that he's doing or something, and it's and then right after that he goes off and just kills everybody on his own. Like, he's done with it. He's like, all right, I learned what I need to. See ya.
Yeah, because when he grabs that guy, he's like, show me, and then it doesn't, like, oh, stabbing, like, it doesn't seem like it to be that intricate of a process of whatever it is.
Oh yes, keep stabbing him until he can't move anymore.
It's just a simple stab. What do you mean, show me?
Exactly. Yeah.
To be fair, Maggie pointed this out.
That's called a knife.
Maggie pointed this out many times when we watched, because we watched all 4 of them in a row. So we went 78, 18 kills, then end, and she pointed out, and I think the first time must have been in 78, but she goes, "That's not how you're supposed to hold a knife if you want to stab someone," because he's holding it, I guess, like right side up, like if you were cutting something, I suppose, instead of stabbing, where you should have like the blade is down out of the bottom of your hand versus up. And in this movie, Michael very clearly at one point turns the blade down when he's going to attack Laurie near the end. And Maggie's very quick to go, "See, that's how you're supposed to do it." So I guess there is, some sort of technique to it.
Right. He was also left-handed in 2018, and in this film he was kills and ends. He was right-handed, and I don't know why I thought maybe with 2018 there was some intention of like the left hand being the devil's influence, and then in 28 in kills and ends it was all right-handed. So I think I was too hopeful maybe.
I think I know the reason for that. In 18, he gets at least 2 of his fingers blown off on his left hand.
With the shotgun. Yep, exactly. You're right.
That's cool.
So that at least stays consistent, cool. But I don't think I ever even noticed that before.
And like, if you didn't explain that would have been weird, just because of like, it's James Jude Courtney who plays him in all 3 movies. So like, that'd be really weird if they didn't explain that.
While we were talking, I brought up the Halloweens to see if it was a different Michael Myers that was an actor. I was like trying to answer my own question, like, but that's the shotgun. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's perfect. So thank you, Krim.
Yeah, that one definitely worked. That's the, watching them back to back to back.
Yeah, right.
Helps quite a bit.
That's cool.
So yeah, I don't know. I did find it funny. I thought, if like Mystery Science Theater or somebody ever did this for this movie, the scene that I mentioned where Laurie comes back home and sees Alice and Corey go upstairs and Mike Myers is just behind the tree, I'd imagine his inner monologue, even though he doesn't speak or anything, would just be like, "Her again? God damn it." Like, he sees her and then he's like, "Shit," and walks away.
He's like, "I'm starting to look weird. This is going to make me look bad.
I don't want to fight her again."
I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
Let's just leave her alone. I don't want to fight her again.
Let me just kill 12 firefighters.
Yeah.
This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, let's go fight an angry mob again. For some reason, I can't kill Laurie. I'm just done. Don't want to fight her again.
I will say, in Sugi, you'll maybe like this. I did find it funny. There's the scene when they come out of the grocery store and that lady like accosts Laurie, being like, "It's your fault. Look what he did to my sister. She can't speak and her husband's dead." First off, cool that they like definitively showed that lady lived, because in Kills she's still breathing, at least when we last see her, although choking on her own blood. But I don't remember if dead meat counted that as a kill or not, so he might have to recount kills and fix that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
did?
and even funnier, he had to deal with the same shit for 2018 because he counted Hawkins as a kill.
Oh,
but he
that's right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
2 in a row, there was kills that got undone. You know, that's funny.
There, speaking of kills, I wanted to, because there's a lot of great emotional kills in Halloween Kills in Halloween 2018 and even Halloween like 1978. Like I think that the emotional pool of like killing Karen at the end, we were even talking about this further. Like I'm surprised that killing his daughter did not further drive this vendetta with Laurie. In fact, it did the inverse.
Yep.
And she stopped hunting him, and she never hunted him. And after that point, which is a bit odd, but when they kill Vicky and like there's a couple douches that get killed in every movie, and I think that's always a good balance. In Halloween Ends, there is nobody likable ever dies except when Corey's uncle or father gets shot in the head, but that's
Ronald,
done by the teenage kid. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, and the assumption would be that Corey wasn't gonna kill him. Like he was just kind of standing because he didn't move or anything, and he even took the mask off when he was confronting him, and then he puts it right back on before that one shitty kid shoots the gun.
Right.
Well, I would say I felt emotionally hurt when Corey died because I enjoyed him a lot more than actual Michael Myers in this movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the big flaw with the Corey storyline is he dies way too soon. I wish he had more involvement in that third act. So I felt emotionally hurt because for me, I love him.
Right, but I think that like as an overall thing, you're not supposed to like him. But I hear you. I hear you on your end, right? I felt like he was an interesting character, sure, but I don't feel like he wasn't like Karen's level of having a multifaceted character of being a loving mother, protective, having a nuanced relationship with Laurie, where she both cares about her but also fears her, and then Karen dies, and I think that's tough. And then Vicky, she even has multiple dimensions of being a good friend of Allison, being a girlfriend, being a playful and kind babysitter.
Yep.
And then she dies, and that's sad. Where Corey is a bastard, like he was blowing, and it's sad because he's a victim, sure, of all this abuse, but he dies, and then the uncle seems nice because the uncle sees that Corey's hurt and he's trying to help him. But all 4 of those teenagers were bastards. The homeless man tried to fight Corey first. The little kid in the beginning of the movie was not likable in the slightest. But yeah.
I am totally in agreement with there. You brought the kid up again. I just remembered. So in the original Halloween, 1978, we do see on TV when Laurie's babysitting, they're watching, not actually watching The Thing, but the Creature from Outer Space or whatever that original like 50s movie was called that The Thing is based on. And in this movie, they actually went back and they are watching The Thing. They're watching the scene where they try to revive the guy and his stomach opens up and he bites off his arm. So little callback to John Carpenter's stuff, but I like that. Yeah. I will say one of the things about Corey that's interesting that I think I probably realized kind of subconsciously the first viewing, but it was more prominent to me watching it this time. And it's so heavy-handed, kind of like in your face, but it's something that I think a lot of people can very easily just kind of brush off their shoulder and not even realize, is his glasses are very signifying of who Corey is at the moment when he's wearing glasses. Because when he's wearing glasses, both in the beginning and leading up to when he's thrown off the bridge, when he's wearing the glasses is when he's supposed to be, you're supposed to like feel for him, be sympathetic. He's having troubles. He looks like innocent or kind of broken down or whatever. I get that's just like a thing in film or in media, I guess, where when people have glasses, they're like little weak people you're supposed to feel bad for or something. And every time he doesn't have his glasses on is when he's shitty. And then eventually at that bridge scene, they step on him and break, which is like the signifier for his whatever humanity he has left snapping. Because right after that is when he stands up, pulls out the knife, and tries to stab the kids before they throw him off the bridge. And then he never wears glasses again. the rest of the
That's
time.
cool. That's
That
awesome.
is cool.
So if you think about
Hell
it, even
yeah.
at the party, when he's dancing at the party, um, I want to say he takes off his glasses and mask or something at one point when he's like, he weirdly lays down in the middle of the dance floor. I don't know what kind of weird dancing that was, but that's
Yeah.
just when that happens. He goes to the bar and runs into the mother of the child that he accidentally killed,
Mm-hmm.
and she yells at him. Then he yells at Allison. They have that fight. And then he leaves, has his glasses back on when he first runs into those kids. Then they break them.
That's so cool. I'm glad you said that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think they also intentionally make his eyes like very black as opposed to green. When you watch the film, you can see him actually have the black eyes of Michael Myers, which they did a great job of staying true to that in this film. And then he sometimes has green eyes because I guess he's like, I guess whatever that relationship is, which might be the crux of what could make this movie better, is he passing the personification of evil on to Corey, or what is it? What's going on?
Yeah.
I'd
I
love to
almost
know.
thought, Sugi and I talked about this a little bit, I think. I almost thought whenever Corey first woke up in the sewer that maybe Michael wasn't actually there, and that he had just, through being thrown over the bridge and everything that sort of happened, his psyche just kind of broke. And maybe the old man did drag him in there or something, and that Mike Myers wasn't actually there. Because he then just, like, during that scene when Michael's grabbing him through a wall, choking him, there's, like, this weird flashback happening. And it's like, is that Corey, like, his life flashing before his eyes? Is it Michael just seeing into his soul or something? What's that supposed to signify? And then that's when he escapes. And I almost kind of wish that maybe, I don't know that that would have necessarily been the best route to go, but I almost kind of wish that maybe what he found in there was just a dead Mike Myers, that Mike Myers wasn't actually alive at any point, that he did just go off and die after he looked out his window.
It's because he took such a beating in Halloween Kills and then he died. But I think, like,
Tommy actually got to kill him.
yeah, I think maybe, like, why I like the Corey character so much is it gives a shot at what the ending of Halloween 4 did, that Halloween 5 just decided not to do, where they turned Jamie into, like, a killer just because she made contact with Michael Myers. It would have been cool, like you said, if Michael had just died and his evil took a new shape and it passed over to Corey. It would have been a lot cooler, I think, if it would have fully committed to the Corey storyline instead of, end of the second act, let's kill him off and let's bring Michael in. I think that would have been a lot cooler. So
And that
awesome.
I agree completely. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was saying, where in my review I was like, I feel like there's potential for a really good story here, a unique take on the formula. You know, people can talk all they want about Season of the Witch being different, but Halloween was never supposed to be about Mike Myers to begin with. It's supposed to be an anthology. That's why you have such a generic name like Halloween. But I think that could have been an interesting way to take it. However, because you have Laurie Strode and Mike Myers, it almost feels like you need to give actual closure, and they just kind of shoved the square peg in the round hole or something, basically.
One thing that just popped into my head right now, they should have just, like, pulled an Avengers Endgame, and, like, the first 20 minutes should have been the Laurie versus Michael fight. Like, this should have taken place, like, during the same night, like, right after where Kills ends off. Like, she goes to whatever house, or they meet up somewhere, and they just fight, and she kills him, and she just leaves, and then we go 4 years later, and we go with the Corey storyline. Just have Michael die in the opening 20 minutes. Like, they should have just done that. I think it would have been cooler. And
that would have been cool.
Time jump and go to the Corey story, and then we get a third act that's very Corey focused, with Corey, with Allison, and with Laurie. I think that would have been better than what we got.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think they had too many cooks in the kitchen. I think because Corey was cool, meeting with, like, when they were driving the motorcycle. That was awesome. When they were dating, like, I like the whole Allison and Corey dating was so much fun. It's just like, right, how do we tie this in to what we already have? How can we move forward with Corey and Allison and make something interesting when we also need to tie up Laurie and Michael? And even that Dracula relationship, that beginning, I was interested. I was just like, I can't wait to see where this goes. right from that beginning scene with Corey, and then when they met Laurie at the gas station, and they were watching him be introduced, and then the landing, it just didn't stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even like how even from the first scene where they showed him in the mechanic suit, I just had this vibe like, oh, he's gonna get the Michael Myers mask and he's gonna wear it and kill people. And that's what actually happened. Like when they hinted at that because he worked at like the junkyard, so he was wearing the suit. So from that first time he wore the suit, I'm like, he's gonna get the mask. So
I didn't even think about that.
It was
That's
so
awesome.
cool when he got the mask. I enjoyed when he was going around killing people with the mask. I just wish the movie focused more on him than Michael Myers. Absolutely.
That's another good point. Yeah.
You did just remind me as well with the glasses thing earlier. His clothing changes after that point too. In the beginning, he's got like that little dinky kind of run down, like faded bluish green jacket that's all like torn up and tattered looking. And then after his Mike Myers experience, he's wearing like a brown leather jacket from that point on.
Really? Wow. That's man. That's
I just just reminded me of that too. I will say though, look, as much as I feel like we had mentioned kills a few times. I feel like the kills in this were kind of a step down. There wasn't anything like as brutal or as cool as some of the past films, and some things. Multiple people were killed off screen in this one.
Yes. So weak.
Those 4 like bully kids, high school kids, whatever. 2 of them were killed off screen.
Yep.
One did get a decent
half screen.
Yeah, one half screen. That shot would have been cool, actually, like melting his face like full on instead of just in a blurred close up. So 2 of them get killed off screen, which is kind of dumb. His mother gets basically killed off screen. He walks right up to her, and then it cuts. So the secretary at the radio station gets killed in the background. You don't really see anything happening there. So I don't know. The kills were kind of a weird step down in this one. And also I think the victims, like you said earlier, I feel like there were some victims in the past that were, you kind of felt for, and kills did pull like, here's the nostalgia. Here's all these legacy characters, and a couple of them are dying. Right. And this one was just like, yeah, kill the kid who's got a mullet. Kill him, please. And kill the other ones. That one girl, I don't know, she sort of tried to be nice to you. I guess you didn't have to stomp her head, run her over, and then stomp her head in.
Yeah. The DJ took the best kill. The
cutting the tongue off.
The cut the tongue, and then also when it switched to Allison in the car and the radio got all effed up, the music was skipping. That was the best kill. But yeah, let's kill the mullet guy. If we're gonna hate everybody that dies, kill mullet guy. Let me see that happen. I hate him. I want to watch him die.
Yeah, he got a. I almost felt like, I don't know that I'd go back and watch it a third time or even fast forward just as this scene. I almost thought for a second, watching it a second time, that you saw Corey walk up to the car in the background, but I don't think that you do, which is unfortunate because at least with the DJ, you did see through the, I don't know what that kind of glass is. It's kind of blurry, but you can sort of see through it. You can see him like picking up the secretary and at least stabbing her, or maybe just pinning her against the wall and stabbing her, whatever it is. But yeah, I don't know. Also, this is a weird one. This is going to be a weird one. I'll see if you guys agree with this. I always envisioned from Halloween 78, even up to Kills, that Haddonfield is like a small town. Like, it's not particularly big. It doesn't seem to be very near to, like a major city or something. So in this movie, the fact that it's got a radio station like smack dab in the middle of it felt strange to me. It almost makes Haddonfield feel like it is a larger city than I ever envisioned. So it kind of, for me, made it seem weirder that the whole community was like affected by 3 kills in 1978 originally, if it is a much larger town to where it had, I don't know, it felt weird. It felt just very strange to me that all of a sudden this town is much bigger than I ever envisioned. I just figured it was a small, quiet town. Like, I guess all the towns I've ever like grown up in just small, out in the middle of nowhere.
That didn't really bother me, but that's a good point. I've always felt like Haddonfield is kind of like Derry from It. It's
Mm.
just like this town where like just bad things happen, where evil happens. One thing like following up on the kills though, one thing I did like, I do agree that the kills are definitely not as cool as they were in Kills, but I did like the part when the doctor and the nurse got killed because basically you hear the doctor like kind of get taken off screen and then the nurse looks out the window by the pool and you can see on the left side Corey's just like in the shadows holding the doctor down and just stabbing him a bunch of times. I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
that, but it was really sweet. I enjoyed
Yeah.
that part. That part was cool.
Also, I kind of wish Corey would have kept that scarecrow mask for a few more
Yeah,
kills.
it was
Yeah.
a good mask. It was really good.
I
But yeah,
I
the
did
kills
enjoy
are
that
not
mask.
as good as Kills. Absolutely, I agree.
Mm.
I guess they did kind of two callbacks that I kind of enjoyed was Michaels has done this a few times where he stabs somebody to the wall and looks at him. He did it in 1978 to the boyfriend of
Vicky,
the
or whatever her name
Bob?
is. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Bob.
to Bob
was
in
the
the
name
original. Yep.
in the original, and then looks at him, kind of weird, and that's like he admires his work, or he's fascinated by death or something. I don't know. There was depth to Michael, I feel, and then he did it in 2018 to the
Yep.
boyfriend of Vicky. Kills. I don't think there was any specific callback, but then he did it in this one to the nurse that got the promotion, and they also, I think it ended with Blue Oyster Cult,
Yep.
Don't Fear the Reaper,
Yep.
which was also in 1978, but I think that was the song that was playing when Laurie and Annie were driving off to their prospective babysitting spots to Lindsay and Tommy's.
Yeah.
That one was great. Don't Fear the
Mhm.
Reaper. So good.
Right.
Great song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so. That's funny. I mean, that you bring up that Michael likes to like admire his work because you're right. He has done that a few times. We didn't get to see him admire the work in 18. We just get the pan over shot to the boyfriend stuck against the wall.
Right.
But Michael has a weird thing in some of these movies of like rearranging the bodies after the fact, which has
Yeah.
always been a strange one. And in Kills, he does it to Big John and Little John. He sets them up
Mhm.
like the picture of them next to the record player, but he has
And
the
he
roles
plays music.
reversed. And he plays music, right?
I
Yeah.
loved that part. And
Which
then he
means
did it
that
on the
there's-
park also with like the people who were wearing the season of the witch masks. Like he put them on the
Yes.
carousel, or the
Mhm.
merry-go-round. Sorry, yeah, the
Yeah.
merry-go-round.
Oh, and then he hangs what's her
nurse.
name? Yeah, something with an M.
Marion. I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
Marion.
Oh yeah, it is Marion because it's a reference to
Yep.
Marion Crane from Psych. Yeah. Okay. Or yeah.
Yep.
Michael has. Oh yeah, that was also the nurse that traveled with Loomis in the OG one, that was driving
Right.
the car that Michael hijacked.
Yeah.
The Michael has like this artistic side.
It's
they took the arts out of Michael Myers, first the schools, and now they're taking him out of our horror movies. Like there's a side to him that's not explored.
I mean, this is a horrible joke, but we've learned in history what happens when you neglect somebody's art.
True. Yeah. They
Point.
innocent
Not good
people.
things.
Yeah, not good things at all.
Yep.
And yeah, I think that would have been great to explore. The Michael just fell flat.
Yeah, it's fun. Somebody, I don't remember who said it. It might have been Jay, who was going to join us, said it, where he was like, Michael was barely in this thing. I saw somebody share, they went back and kind of timed the screen time of Michael in Ends
I saw this too. Yeah.
versus Michael in the original movie, and Mike Myers is in Ends more screen time than he is in 1978
Yep.
by like a whole minute and a half or something.
Do you
Hell
ever see
yeah.
through his eyes in this one? We can.
No, we see through Corey's eyes, but not through Michael's.
Okay.
Because when Corey goes to kill his mother, it's a POV shot of him opening the cabinet drawer in the kitchen
Right.
and grabbing the knife.
Yeah.
I think that's important too. That's one of the cool things about Michael Myers is it does that thing that Maniac does, where you see through the eyes of the killer, and that's important. I feel to the tone and the vibes of the movie.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think, man, I really do think the last maybe like, I almost want to say 20 minutes. It might be closer to like 30 minutes of the movie, I think are like really good. It is when Corey basically dons the mantle of Mike Myers, and he kills the kids in the junkyard, kills his mother, then goes after Laurie. I think all of that is pretty solid. Very few complaints with it. I mean, the kills are, subpar for being mostly off screen, but I think it all works. And I do think that the revelation, Laurie sets it up as though she's going to kill herself, and we get a very distinct shot of the pumpkins on the mantle, and then she shoots the pumpkin and be like, did you really think I was going to do that to myself? And then shoots him. I think that showing that she, even though it's kind of been working towards, like, she's kind of realizing that Corey is evil, or that he's got the same thing Mike Myers had, to show that she still has like that fight in her for that moment, or that she's like, look, maybe I don't have this trap house that I built, but I'm still like, I know how to play this game.
Right.
Love it. And even the moment when she does realize Michael is in the house with her, and she locks the door as he's snapping Corey's neck, and then she walks silently past him, and he turns, and it's just like, all the moments from in 2018 when they replayed for the references. So Myers throws Laurie off the roof, and he looks away because he hears he hears Allison come into the house, and then he looks back and Laurie's gone. All of the moments of her mimicking what Myers had ever done to her, love it. Love that stuff.
Yeah,
so good.
That's why I think that, like, it's kind of like the whole character of Michael Myers is kind of spelt out for us, because everything that Laurie does and says is absolutely correct. Like, she completely understands Michael Myers just like Loomis did, and it's just, you gotta believe her.
I will say, I believe, Laugh, it was your letterbox little blurb for Halloween 2018 of being like, the worst thing about this is that line of, the new Loomis.
Yeah.
Or whatever she says. It's such a bad line.
It's such a, because, Halloween 2018 for me is hitting on all cylinders, and they're really making it their own thing. And then she's like, the new Loomis. And I'm like, ugh. But other than that, fantastic movie.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as the line "Evil dies tonight," though. I know Crib loves that line.
I think
it's a good rallying call.
It's making
terrible.
It's making fun of, like, hashtag Evil Dies Tonight. Like, it's making fun of the Twitter mobs, and I enjoy that so much, because we follow the Tommy Jarvis crew and the hashtag Evil Dies Tonight, and they make all of the wrong and most terrible decisions that have ever happened ever, and they all die.
I can't have you slandering Tommy Jarvis like that. I think his name is Tommy Doyle.
Tommy Doyle. Tommy Doyle. Yeah, sorry, wrong masked man. Yeah, Tommy Doyle. When they follow Tommy Doyle's group of people, and they all make the worst decisions.
Yep.
The new Loomis line reminds me of just like, I think, Cody Leach was telling me just like his biggest problem with Halloween Kills was just the dialogue, that especially like a lot of the hospital conversations are just like movie trailer lines. It's just
definitely.
Just like all the, I forget, like all the stuff about Michael becoming more powerful as he kills, about, he's looking through the window. It's just like, they don't sound like real human conversations. They sound just like, we're going to recite lines that we can put in the trailer.
Right. Yeah.
Look, I love Danny McBride, but who knows if he's capable of writing good dialogue?
Yeah.
Who knows how much is his voice and how much is whatever.
But I thought
have you guys seen
dialogue
Eastbound and Down?
I love Eastbound and Down.
I think, did he write that? Because I think the writing in that was fantastic.
He might have. I actually don't know.
Because
the dialogue in Ends was a lot better though than in Kills.
Yeah, and
but they also had
voice.
They had 2 additional co-writers. So every movie they had a third writer. It was always David Gordon Green, and Danny McBride plus someone. And in this one, they had 2 additional. They had 2 additional people.
I'll be back in 1 second. I'll be right back.
So,
I felt the dialogue was way better in Ends compared to Kills. It wasn't. It was
Although,
not as much like the same movie trailer lines
as funny, I definitely agree with it, and I think that goes back to what I was saying, where I think Kills very much feels like the middle child. Like it feels like it's fun. There's a lot of great kills. I enjoy that, but it doesn't really feel like it has a start or end. It feels like it's just there to sort of bridge a gap. But then that we put a bridge over leads to nothing in the end with Ends. There's the line in Ends though where after Laurie introduced Corey to Allison and they're at home and Allison and what was her name? Lindsay. Lindsay is there, and that's where she reads the tarot cards for Allison. And she's like, "Oh, you got death. That means end of a sequence of your life or whatever." And Laurie says, "You just gotta find somebody, rip out your shirt, and show them your tits or something."
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what she said.
I just don't even like. What is that line? And then they cut directly from that to something else, and it's just so. It's so weird. I think in this movie, the one character who doesn't work for me like at all. Well, I guess there's a couple. First, Mullet Boy, can't get behind that at all. I don't know why mullets are like having a resurgence. I don't know what that's about. Second is the DJ. I can't really get behind. Well, he does have a great kill. I don't know. It just that whole segment just doesn't really do anything for me. And then again, it feels like they're trying to like cramming in world building where Corey's like, I used to come here all the time to hang out and stuff. And it's like, we've never even known there was a radio station in this town. Right. But the DJ's kind of just, he's fine. But again, they started off with him. You hear him a bunch throughout. It's just kind of build like he exists. He's part of this town. People know who he is, whatever. But mostly the mother, Corey's mother, just, they never really get around to saying specifically what's going on with her, but very clearly she suffers from something, and it's so insufferable almost the entire time.
It's like Eddie's mother in It.
Yes. Yeah.
Similar vibes, definitely.
Yeah. It's just. Yeah, I don't know if they were trying to do like a. Like the only thing that I feel like Corey was really missing, but then again, like I just feel like the whole thing with Corey just wasn't really that fleshed out. Was like, is he like if they had Corey play video games, I would have been like, okay, I get it. You guys, you know what I mean? I kind of see what you guys are going for here, but I don't. Yeah, that's why I was so confused with the overall like thesis of this movie. It's just like what is this? Is this movie about something? It just didn't feel so. It didn't feel confident. Like. It was weak.
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly what Diamondback said because he posted that one thing in your Discord, kind of going through what his thoughts on the movie were. And I know I just off the top of my head, I remember I didn't agree 100% with what he was kind of pulling from it, but everybody can take whatever they want to take from the movie. But going with the mother, similar to like what you were kind of getting at, is like, what are they trying to tell us with Corey here? Because in the beginning, it feels like with the opening, with him accidentally killing the kid, and then we see quickly that over the next few years there was a double murder, a suicide, and that the town seemed to rally behind like this boogeyman because Michael was on the loose. It sort of wrapped everybody up. Anytime something bad happened, the town sort of just turned on whatever the cause was, Corey being one of them. So it's like, are you trying to say this evil is like Mike Myers was born with it and he's being molded into it? Is this like nature versus nurture? But then you go back and you see his like family life, and she's like, was she like this before what happened to him happened, or is this only after? And like she's also kind of taking I don't know, took like a turn when all this happened, like she had a psychic break or something? Or is it trying to just indicate that maybe this like runs in his family of some sort of way that, you know, like of course he was gonna snap, she's already kind of crazy?
Yeah, and they don't even really pose the question to us that it's even supposed to be something that we should be considering as the audience. It just feels like it's thrown together and here's the movie.
Makes sense. Yeah, I feel like it goes back to my my only flaw with Corey is I feel like they killed him off way too early. Which is why they should have, like I said, if they wanted to do it like this, they should have had the Michael and Laurie stuff start off the movie, and then it just moves on and jumps to the Corey storyline, so we could have him just have a bigger focus in the ending. Like you said, you feel like the movie doesn't like fully commit to the Corey storyline. It's because it doesn't. You're exactly right. They just kill him off way too early, and
I love the end games, Halloween end games that you pitched earlier. Once you said Halloween end games, I was like on board. That's what I wanted.
Because if in like the opening 20 minutes we get Michael dying and getting thrown into like that car grinder, meat grinder, like after that it says 4 years later, like we would just be mind blown. Like we're 20 minutes in and he's dead already. Right. It would have just blown our minds. Everybody would have been on board if it opened like that.
You know what? You've kind of. I like the idea, but I was gonna say something, but I think you just kind of changed my mind. Is that because I was gonna be like, well, if you go that route, you can't possibly let the whole town know that Mike Myers is dead, because then the things that happened in the subsequent Halloweens kind of lose their meanings. But now I'm thinking it might even actually be better is if you did kill Mike Myers and only the people who, like, let's say the movie picked up that same night after Carrie was killed, or not Carrie, Karen was killed, and whether it's the police or Allison or whatever leftover mob or Laurie hobbled her way out of the hospital or something, they managed to kill Mike Myers. And then what you can do is only the people who are present fully know this, and the police chief can like give a speech and be like, oh, it's handled, don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. But then that leaves like an air of like questioning the authority for the town to be like, did he really die? And then these series of bad events happen. So you can still wrap it up in this boogeyman thing, and then eventually Corey gets the mask, and all of a sudden people are like, "Oh shit, no, he is still alive. You lied to us."
Hell yeah, it'd be a great movie. Blumhouse should have hired me.
They should have. You could have been one of those, that fourth writer.
They should have hired me.
And what if, like, maybe when you're talking about trusting the authorities, which people that don't know what happened, Allison's boyfriend is out there killing people that he wants to kill, and you can wrap it up between this whole Michael Myers thing, like very fifth season of The Wire. You got the person biting people's butts. You know, you do that with Michael Myers, where the police start using Michael Myers as a means to the end.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All we're saying is more interesting in different directions. I think
the movie we could have had. Like, damn.
Hashtag not my Mike Myers. I'm just gonna start that.
We could have had. I mean, we've kind of like seen something like that. And it's an amazing movie called Friday the 13th. No, it's not called Friday the 13th. It is called Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. 10 minutes in, they kill Jason Voorhees. And he lives on through his heart. He's basically a Kandarian demon that possesses people. And they, in fact, have to kill him with the Kandarian dagger at the end of the movie.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Oh my god, that movie is so dumb.
They should have been Michael Goes to Hell, Halloween Ends. That's what they should have done.
Oh, can you imagine
Michael
sitting down in hell with his mask on, and then you sit through the credits, and the mid-credit scene pops up, and it's just like, "What'd you think we were done, bitch?" And then Freddy Krueger's next to him, wiggles his fingers.
Now, to be more license accurate, what they could have done is they could have just showed Chucky step on the mask and have him laugh like, because they actually have the license to that Universal.
No, yeah, just no. You don't even do that. You literally have Chucky just show up in a doll factory with the what is it, the Heart of Damballa, doing a ritual to bring Mike Myers back to life. As a doll.
What if crossover event? Michael needs to go into Corey's body.
Yep.
Michael goes to hell. That's it right there.
Boom.
Michael goes to hell.
Bring in all the franchises.
They should have made Michael Goes to Hell.
I think, Sugi, I think it was with you. What was the Michael verse? Going with the end game, they literally just do Halloween Multiverse of Madness, and it's all the Michaels from the different timelines.
Yes, they all just show up, and then they just like use the aging effects to bring in all the different Lauries.
Oh, you got Tommy Doyle, Paul Rudd, and then also Tommy Doyle from Weird was it Weird Science?
Yeah,
And then
Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah, you got old Huckleberry and Paul Rudd's lead pipe. Old Huckleberry sucked. By the way, that was a bad line. We should have dropped that.
And then how they defeat all the Michaels is by like they put all like the mechanics in their masks and they play that Halloween 3 Season of the Witch commercial and it just
yeah, they just melt. Yeah. They melt all of Michael's heads.
It's that time, kids. All the Michael masks start panning around. They're like, "What's that song? I wasn't in that movie. What happened?" Yeah.
Amazing ideas. Michael goes to hell. Halloween ends. That's how they should have done it.
Yeah.
How they should have done. Damn.
I think Maggie asked at one point about. I think we talked for whatever reason about Freddy versus Jason, and she's like, they should just have like a Jason versus Mike Myers. They're basically the same thing. And I was like, yeah, imagine how uninteresting that would be.
Imagine the dialogue they'd have between each other.
Yeah, they just stare and breathe.
That's why Freddy works. Freddy talks.
Yeah.
You know? That's why you get Chucky Michael. Chucky talks. That works.
God. Just bring the whole Chucky universe in. Have Tiffany there.
That'd be great.
Jennifer Tilly in her Jennifer Tilly body pretending to be Jennifer Tilly.
Glenda too.
Oh yeah. Glenn and Glenda meets Mike Myers.
Glenn and Glenda. Yeah.
That would be, oh man.
I would love to see the Chucky level shenanigans with the seriousness that's Michael Myers, like where Chucky puts real ammo in Chucky 3, where he sets up this whole thing where the kids are shooting each other, and Michael's just like that's elaborate. Just starts like stabbing people.
Michael's just looks at that happening with guns and explosions and shit, and just looks at his knife and goes, stab, stab.
It'd be a great movie.
God, it's a nightmare waiting to happen. Watch
fantastic.
season 2 of Chucky ends with Mike Myers showing up, or the mask is on the ground or something.
That'd be pretty sweet. I think the mask has already appeared. It was in the beginning of Bride of Chucky. It wasn't in like that evidence.
Oh, yes, I think you're right.
The mask was in it, so it's already appeared in a Chucky movie. It has already appeared.
Okay, well then, maybe we'll just wrap it up here, since we've been going for an hour and we've at this point kind of lost our minds. I don't know. Any final thoughts for the movies or even the trilogy, maybe? I guess it's technically not a trilogy, but
I will say this: going into this podcast, I loved and enjoyed the movie, and talking to both of you has only made me love it and enjoy it more. And I'm gonna go rewatch it.
Hey, that's a positive.
I only love it more after talking to both of you about it. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, likewise. You guys definitely pointed out a lot of different things that I didn't consider or notice the first time. So thank you guys for that. I also, I liked the movie. I liked watching it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think, a little bit about the Halloween trilogy that we could have had, because I really thought Kills was going somewhere. But, at the end of the day, we still have Halloween 2018, which is like a nice little movie with a bow on top with some finality. But either way, it's not the last time that I'm going to watch all 3 of them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel more or less this. I mean, it's not like this increased what I think about the movie, but I do think, I think next time I watch it, I'm going to start with the last, 10 minutes of the movie, and then watch leading up to that and stop it. When Corey dies, I'm going to end the film.
But I can't.
So start with Laurie and Michael fighting and him dying, and then start the rest of the film.
Do it.
See how it plays that way.
Hell yes.
Okay, well, we'll end it there. That was a fun chit chat. I don't know, maybe this will be something that I do more down the road with other movies. full spoiler discussions of some sort. But why don't we'll end with you guys just telling people where to find you, what kind of content they can find from you.
You can find me if you want to hang out with me and chat. You can find me at twitch.tv/nachoegg. I hang out there.
Perfect.
If you don't like hearing me on Twitch, you can follow my podcast at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Beautiful.
Found anywhere podcasts exist.
If you want some good horror
exists.
movie reviews, make sure to follow the Good, the Bad, and the Weird movie podcast on either Facebook or Instagram. There's horror movie reviews and Marvel Cinematic Universe reviews that are
The
written
Marvel
also.
ones, yeah.
Yeah, so check it out there.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me that I also post my content on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you. That is true, and I do that.
Yep, definitely.
Perfect. Everyone always go to twitch.tv/nachoegg. You never know what Patapon game or farming simulator they might be playing.
Yes.
I heard Bugsnax is soon.
Yes, do it.
Next time we might talk about eating kaiju and what they taste like.
Do it. It's going to be great.
MFK, K and E.
Yeah.
Yeah. FMKE.
Yep. I mean, eat all of them, I guess. Why not? All right. Well, thank you for joining. It was a great conversation. Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, I'm
thank you
always
for
down to
having me.
talk movies.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.